If you're new to my space, I'm Alexandria. I am here to guide women like you to break free from self-doubt, to show up confidently, and to just be who you are, be in your space, be present, to just be. I have spent so much of my life trying to prove my value to everyone else, constantly seeking validation, constantly seeking approval of others. But more often than not, it's left me really feeling stuck and invisible, right? So that's what I'm doing, is building a space for other women that I know feel like me. And so if you're here, I am thankful and I am so honored that you are. It wasn't until I really started doing that deep work to reconnect with my self-worth that everything started to really change for me. I realized that my worth wasn't tied to achievements. It wasn't tied to how much I do for others. It's not tied to how perfect I appear, right? Like, for example, complete vulnerability. Ended up with a nasty cold sore this last week. It is so hard to get on camera when we have those imperfections, right? But that's just our own inner critic and our own voice inside of us trying to hold us back. So it's just taking time to work on that, to work on you, and realize that those things are just leaving you feeling stuck. Okay. All I really needed. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more. Was the tools and space to uncover and realize that that worth is already there. It's already inside of us. We just need the space to uncover it. Ladies, that is why I've created the Fearless and Worthy Woman Framework. My mission is now to help women like you reclaim your worth, build your confidence, and really take intentional, aligned action. Okay. Through this framework, because I've used it on myself, I've seen how life transforms when you really start letting go of that self-doubt, when you rewrite those stories that are holding you back, and when you step into that power that is already within you. Okay. So if you have felt like you're not enough, or if you feel like you are waiting for permission, I'll get it out in a second, to live that life that you truly want to live and that you know you're capable of living, I want you to know that you're in the right place. Okay. So I have 3 pillars inside my framework. Tonight, we're really going to talk about that first one, self-worth. That is where it starts. It is what I call the foundation for everything. Grab my self-worth journaling deck, or if you want a space where real conversations like this happen daily, join my free Facebook group. Both links can be found in the description. And that's the reason I have it as my first pillar inside the framework that I've created. And why? Like, why is self-worth the foundation for everything? Let's just jump right into that. Many women feel stuck in this relentless cycle of self-doubt, right? Questioning whether you're enough, if maybe you deserve more. You try to find validations in your achievements, in your roles, in your relationships, but more often than not, it feels like something is missing. And the reason I know this is because I've been there. That's what I've been working on. Okay, so why? Without self-worth, every decision that you make feels a lot healthier, feels a lot heavier. Your relationships feel unbalanced. Your goals seem like they are just out of reach. Okay, again, it comes back to that foundation of self-worth. You can have all the strategies in place, you can have the plans in place, you can have all the tools in the world, but if you do not believe that you're worthy of success, then, or even like not success, if you feel like you're not worthy of success, if you feel like you're not worthy of love, if you feel like you're not worthy of joy, you're going to hesitate to take meaningful actions. Self-worth is the foundation. It's what allows you to say, I am enough just as I am, and then move through life with this confidence and with this clarity. True confidence begins when you stop seeking validation. Stop seeking validation outside of yourself and start recognizing that you have this inherent value. If I am dropping value for you, let me know. My live stream is way behind that I am watching, but let me know in the comments below if any of this is resonating for you. I'm going to give you an example client. And again, this is an example, so name, if there's any relevance to your name, I promise it's not you. This is just an example client, but let's just talk about Sarah for a second, okay? Sarah is a high achiever. Sarah is juggling work and family while doubting if she's doing enough. Sarah overcommits because she feels like saying no would make others think less of her. Guys, I went through this just today, and by Sarah, a lot of times, like in these names, I'm talking about myself. I went through this just today. One thing that I'm really still working on is setting boundaries and saying no. I have definitely that overachiever inner critic. I had a name for her and it's gone. It doesn't matter right now. But I have this name for her because I've learned to, and it sounds so silly, but if you stick with me through this journey, you will discover who your inner critic is and give it a name, because then you can really start to detach yourself from it. All right. But I have this overachiever inner critic that tells me that I need to do more, that I need to be more. And if I say no, if I'm not constantly doing and going, then I am not doing enough. I am not worthy, right? But when Sarah, we'll shift back to Sarah, okay, starts building this foundation of self-worth, she learns to say no without guilt. She recognizes that her value isn't tied to productivity. She starts focusing on what truly matters to her, okay? And over time, she's going to feel lighter. She's going to feel more present because she can be more present. She's not burnt out and exhausted and aligned with her goals. All right. And so I'm going to go back. I know at the beginning of the live, I mentioned that, this last week, I really had this realization. Like my goals were to get back on track with my lives last week. But guys, I had stretched myself so thin that I was on the verge of a huge burnout. And I recognized that. I reached out to my mindset coach and I was like, this is where I'm at. I don't know what to do. And it was simply putting those boundaries in place. She ended up having a big class this week over setting boundaries, right? Because a lot of times that's kind of where that falls into play. And it was just this huge aha moment for me. So I realized I needed to take a step back, needed to recollect, and here I am. And I feel so much better now that I've done it. Not only did I discover little things that I still need to work on, and I get to present that to you guys because this is an open space. This is a space to be safe, to feel safe, to be heard. But then I get to take little tidbits away from myself too and continue to work on my journey. So if any of this is resonating with you ladies, I encourage you to take that first step towards transformation. Connect with me, hop inside my messaging. And that's why I built this mastermind, to help women like Sarah and like you. Okay. So that was number one, why self-worth is the foundation. Let's talk about number two, those quiet stories, that inner voice that is holding you back. All right, those limiting beliefs. Oftentimes, those limiting beliefs are going to sound like, I'm not enough. I need to be perfect to be worthy. My worth depends on how much I do for others or how well I do it. Those beliefs, ladies, appear out of nowhere and they hit like a sledgehammer when they do, right? Oftentimes, they are shaped from our past experiences, societal expectations, and sometimes even relationships that you've had, okay? We all have our stories. We all have a past. And oftentimes that's where these voices come into play. We have our subconscious and our conscious mind. And I find it so fascinating. Like I'm currently reading a book on it, and it is mind blowing to me how powerful, first of all, our mind is. But in your subconscious mind, like that is something that is developed without you even trying, right? Those are those voices that you hear growing up. Often it is developed as a kid, like from your family, whatever that looked like. That's where that subconscious mind got developed. And it's a lot of where like your money mindset comes from, a lot of your beliefs, your inner, like that inner voice, where your worth, all of it is tied to that. Okay, something that you heard along the way, something you were taught along the way. The habits that you've created all comes from that subconscious mind. But the thing is, those quiet stories are dangerous because they're subtle but powerful, right? That subconscious mind is constantly at work without you even knowing it. It's constantly telling you the decisions to make. It's what puts that fear in place, okay? Those stories, those quiet stories, those I'm not enough, I need to be perfect to be worthy, my worth depends on how much I do. That's the background noise that makes you second guess yourself. That's what keeps you small. And it keeps you from really going after or pursuing what you really want. These quiet stories, ladies, they are so dangerous. So keep that in mind. When you allow these beliefs to define you, they really reinforce the idea that your value is conditional on how much you give, how perfect you are, or how others perceive you. So, for example, using myself as an example to start with, and then we'll talk about another client. For example, I thought that my worth was tied to how much I could accomplish or how perfect I appeared to others. All right. I would overwork myself, stretch myself thin, trying to gain approval. And then when I did succeed, I still felt empty, right? Because now there's one more thing I need to do. I am the type of person, and you'll see a post later this week, going back to that overachiever inner critic that I have. Ladies, when somebody walks in a room, I jump up to look like I'm busy. And again, that comes from my own past experiences that led me to that. And that's something that I'm working on, right? That's something that I've gotten with my mindset coach on myself and that we're working through. But it's that overachiever personality that I have that causes me to do that. And that creates those voices. Okay. But what I am realizing is my worth isn't tied to any of that. My worth isn't tied to how much I can accomplish. My worth isn't tied to how many tasks I can take on or how many times I say yes to helping others when I am spreading myself so thin and I am emptying the tank so much that I'm leaving nothing for myself. And what does that lead to? Okay, now I'm being snappy with my spouse because I am absolutely exhausted and have nothing left in the tank. All right. And we can go deep into how else that affects our relationship with our spouses, but that's another conversation for another time. I'm snappy with my kids, right? And to no fault of their own, they're just being kids. But because I've stretched myself so thin and I have this overachiever need to do everything and be everything to everyone, I have nothing left in the tank. Right? So it wasn't until I really recognized those beliefs for what they were. They're lies. That's all they are. And that's when things started to shift. And again, that's why I'm doing this for others, so we can get you on the path where you start seeing that shift too. All right. Let's take Emily, for example. All right. Still thinking about this mindset. Emily avoids applying for promotions at work because she thinks in her mind that she's not smart or qualified enough. She's constantly comparing herself to the colleagues around her, and she believes that she's going to fail if she tries. Again, this was another big one for me, and I'm going to be really personal and really honest, and I know I have people inside this group that know my family, so I'm trusting that you're inside this group, that what happens inside this group stays inside this group. But when we talk about that subconscious mind and that inner voice and that inner critic, I know a lot of mine came from how I grew up. We talk about not being smart enough, not being qualified. As I was growing up, I don't know how many times I was told, you can't be XYZ because you're not smart enough. You can't be XYZ because you're not strong enough. You can't be XYZ because you're a woman, you're a girl. You'll never get that job. So in time, that started to shift what my inner voice sounded like. And I have had to do a lot of work in that area to start shifting my thinking. And a lot of that ties back to your worth. So through reconnecting with her worth, Emily identifies these limiting beliefs as lies and begins to replace them with truths. All right. And a lot of times that's all it is shifting the way you think. All right. Taking that negative inner voice that you have and finding a way to shift it into a positive, finding a way that you talk or a different way that you talk to yourself. She realizes that her skills, her experiences, they actually are an asset to her. And she then applies for. She has the confidence. She's now done the work to believe in herself, believe in her worth. She gets the leadership position that aligns with her talents. Okay. So if you are struggling with those similar beliefs, again, ladies, reach out to me. Let's connect. Let's rewrite those so you can get on the path to where you want to be. So number 3 that we're going to talk about, steps to reconnect with your self-worth. And if you're still with me, let me know. If you're catching this on the replay, ladies, drop replay in the comments too. I always love to circle back and talk to those that took the time to watch this video. Reconnecting your worth starts with awareness, and it starts with these small intentional steps. All right. You really have to be intentional about the steps you're taking to get to where you want to go. Because here's the thing, change is not going to happen overnight, but it also doesn't require big dramatic shifts. Here's another thing, and I read this, I don't remember where I read it or where I heard it, but it talked about when we try to make a new habit or when we try to go for a goal, more often than not, we do something big and dramatic and extreme thinking we're going to get there. But what happens is you usually burn yourself out, right? So think about like you're wanting to set this goal of, I want to wake up earlier and start working out. But if you are used to waking up at 7 and now you want to start waking up at 6, that hour time change, that's a big shift, right? So what I've heard is make it small steps, small intentional steps. Make it 5 minutes. So tomorrow, instead of waking up at 7, I'm going to wake up at 6:55. The next day, I'm going to wake up at 6:50. Make it manageable, right? So that way, by the end of a couple weeks, you're up to your 6 o'clock point. But if you make that big dramatic change of I'm waking up at 7, now I'm waking up at 6, by day 3, you're probably going to be exhausted and say, forget this, I'm not doing it anymore. And you're going to be right back in the same spot, okay? So when we think about making shifts, we want to make them small, bite-sized, intentional steps. We want to create intentional, consistent moments that remind you of your value. And that's why, to me, like, my morning routine consists of, first of all, I jump into my Bible, I jump into my devotional, because spiritually I want to be in the right space before I take on my day. But I also practice gratitude, and I am intentional about what steps I have for the day. And I'm intentional about celebrating the small steps I've made up to this point. Because in that moment, it might not seem big, but I know with time and with consistency, I'm going to look back on those celebrations and be like, because of each of these steps that I've taken, now look where I am. But they've been small, intentional steps, not big, dramatic jumps. So I'm going to walk you through a few steps here. I'm going to expand these out for you. 4 steps. Grab your pen, grab your paper, write this down if you want to. And again, this is stuff, ladies, that we will dive into deeper in the framework. So if that's something that you're interested in, get on a call with me. We'll talk about it, okay? But step 1, what I want you to do is identify the lies. Start writing down those stories that you've been telling yourself, because awareness is going to be the first step to change. You have to know in your mind what it is that's going on. Going back to that talk with myself, like those boundaries, knowing that that's something that I need to work on, knowing that I am the overachiever, and I didn't have that aha moment until my last mindset class. Now it's like in the forefront of my mind, I have that awareness. Now I'm taking the steps to work on it. Identify what those lies are. That's the first step. Now, step 2, what I want you to do is reframe those lies into a truth. I want you to take each limiting belief and really start with one. That way we make it manageable. Start with one limiting belief and replace it with a statement that aligns with your worth. For example, replace I'm not good enough with I am enough just as I am. Put that somewhere where you can see it. Put it on your phone screen. Write it on an index card. Write it on your mirror. Put it on a sticky note. Look at it. Read it. Get your mind to really wrap around it and really start believing that. Okay? That was step 2. So you're going to reframe that lie into a truth. Now, step 3, I want you to practice daily self-compassion. Affirmations aren't just words, okay? Going back up to that, I am enough just as I am. Those aren't just words, okay? Those are going to be tools to realign your mindset. I want you to repeat it to yourself daily. Here's some more. And again, write these down. I am worthy of love and respect. Ladies, if you haven't read the book Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima, I really, really encourage you to. That's probably like a big shift in my coaching even. I've known for a while that I've wanted to coach. I've known that I've wanted to inspire and help other women. I didn't really know where I wanted that to be. And then I read this book, Worthy, and I really started to have the shift of, okay, this is what I need to work on. And now that I've worked on it, this is what I want to help other women work on, because it is the foundation of everything, right? I am worthy of love and respect. One thing that she tells you to do in that book is to look in the mirror. And this sounds so silly. Like, even when I first heard it, I was like, this is weird. And to even practice it was even more strange. Like, it was hard to do, but then it was with that realization that, man, because it's so hard to do means I need to work on it. But she encourages you to look in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. I really, really love you. Ladies, the first time I did that, I was in tears because it was so hard to say that to myself. And now that I've been working and intentional about it, it's not a big deal. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, if somebody walks in and sees me doing this, they're gonna think I'm crazy, but y'all, it's okay. It's okay, because it's true. Something else that you can repeat to yourself daily: my value isn't tied to my productivity or perfection. And that's hard, right? Especially if you have that mindset like me, that personality like me, that overachiever or that perfectionist. And I'll take a live and really dive deep into the different inner critics that we have, but shift these to fit you. Okay, shift these affirmations to fit you. Then start taking steps to actually believe it. Because it's one thing to speak it, but if you're not intentionally working on believing this about yourself, then they're just words. So be intentional about it, okay? Step 4, I want you to honor yourself with small actions. Whether it's saying no, hard one for me, so I know if it's hard for you, I understand where you're coming from. Giving yourself permission to rest, maybe carving out 10 minutes with something or someone that you love. And if you're like me, you're a busy mama, you have a full-time job, it's hard to find those moments. 10 minutes though, you can give yourself 10 minutes. You have permission to give yourself 10 minutes. You are worthy of giving yourself 10 minutes. As you take those small actions, you're going to build your trust in yourself and it's going to reinforce that work. Okay. So another client, Mia. Mia is a busy mom. Mia feels like she has lost her sense of identity. And again, if you can relate to this, drop relate in the chat. She pours everything into her family, but never makes time for herself, leaving her feeling invisible and drained. But the transformation comes when Mia starts reconnecting with her worth. She identifies that belief that her value comes only from being a caretaker. So here's that first step, right? Identify what it is. The second step, she's going to reframe it. She reframes it to I am worthy of love and respect just as I am. By taking small steps, like carving out 30 minutes for herself daily, she begins to feel energized. She begins to feel confident and she feels more connected to her true self. Ladies, if you're unsure where to start, that's okay. Again, that is why I created the mastermind that I did. It's to guide women like Mia through those first steps, to get you on the right track, to give you that accountability piece, and to walk with you every step of the way. So make sure you're reaching out to me. All right, the next one, the ripple effect, and this is probably the best part. The ripple effect of reclaiming your worth. When you embrace your worth, everything changes. It is the foundation. And anytime you are in my lives and I am talking worth, you're going to hear me say this and you're going to be like, I know what's coming. I know what she's about to say. She might as well just play herself on repeat. Your worth is your foundation. Think of the foundation of a house. Without a solid foundation, a house will crumble. Right? Your worth is your foundation. Without a solid foundation of worth, everything else is going to crumble in. So when you learn to embrace your worth, everything else is going to start falling into place for you. Okay. Your relationships are going to improve because you're no longer seeking validation or overextending yourself. Your decision making is going to become a lot clearer because you trust yourself to make the choices aligned with your values. And your confidence starts to feel natural because it's rooted in the truth of who you are, not in external achievements. When I started prioritizing my worth, when I started putting my worth first, y'all, it's amazing the shift that happened. I started feeling lighter. My visions became more clear. Really, and especially here recently, stopped saying yes to things out of guilt and have started to show up in a way that feels true to me. With that is coming the deepening of relationships. All right. And I'm making decisions from a place of just this clarity and confidence, knowing that I'm on the right path of where I'm supposed to be. Okay. So with that, in the comments, if you're watching this on replay, that's fine. But in the comments, I want you to tell me what's one belief you've been telling yourself that you would like to get rid of? What's something you would really like to shift your thinking on? So that's the first question. Second question, what's one small step you can take today to honor your worth? Drop it in the comments for me. Let me support you. Here's the thing, ladies. Reclaiming your worth is not just about feeling better, all right? It's about changing how you live your life. When you embrace your worth, you stop settling and you start dreaming. And then you begin creating this life that reflects your true self. Ladies, if this resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts. All right, drop your reflections, drop your questions in the comments below. But I would really love to walk alongside you on this journey. I so appreciate you being here today. And I want you to remember that you are enough and I am empowering you always. I will see you on my next live. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more.